be me. 32. Lawyer who sues the government for a living. Genuinely believe in equality. I've fought housing discrimination and workplace harassment. Consider myself a feminist, but not the caricature kind. Just someone who thinks women deserve fair treatment. Been single for 2 years now, not by choice. Tonight, I'm at my friend Rachel's apartment for wine night. She's a pediatric surgeon, brilliant woman, also perpetually single. I matched with another guy on Hinge, she says, pouring her third glass. Let me guess, I say. He seemed great via text, then flaked on the date. Worse. We scheduled drinks for Thursday. I texted to confirm Wednesday night. He said, and I quote, "Actually, I'm in the middle of a really important raid progression with my guild. Can we do this some other time?" Rachel shows me his profile. He's a software engineer, good-looking, 34 years old, seems to have his life together. What the fuck is raid progression? I ask. Something in World of Warcraft. I Googled it. We both sit there in silence. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. I think about my last 3 dating app conversations. One guy seemed engaged for 2 days, then ghosted completely. Found out later from a mutual connection he wasn't really looking for anything serious, just kind of going through the motions. Another explicitly told me he was taking a break from dating to focus on myself and my hobbies. His hobbies, according to his Instagram, Elden Ring, competitive League of Legends, building gaming PCs. What's happening with men? Rachel asks, genuinely bewildered. I don't know, but I'm starting to notice a pattern. The next week at work, I'm grabbing coffee with James from the contracts department. He's 29, smart, funny, decent looking. I've wondered why he never seems to date anyone. James, can I ask you something personal? He shrugs. Sure. Why don't you date? Like, I've known you for 3 years and you've never mentioned a girlfriend or going on dates or anything. He stirs his coffee for a long time. Honestly, it feels like too much effort for inevitable disappointment. What do you mean? I tried the apps for a while. Maybe got a match every couple of weeks. When I did match, conversations went nowhere. The few dates I got, I could tell I wasn't measuring up. Measuring up to what? He laughs, but it's not a happy sound. I don't know. The checklist. I'm not 6 feet tall. I make decent money, but I'm not rich. I'm not super exciting. I just exist. And that's clearly not enough. So, you just gave up? I redirected my energy to things that don't make me feel like shit about myself. I have my friends, my D&D group, my gaming. At least when I'm playing Baldur's Gate, I don't feel like I'm constantly being evaluated and found wanting. I want to argue with him, but something about his tone stops me. He doesn't sound angry or bitter. He sounds tired, defeated, kind of sad. That weekend I'm visiting my mom. She asks, as she always does, about my dating life. Mom, did you notice fewer men wanting to date when you were my age? She laughs. Sweetheart, when I was your age, it was 1995. Men asked women out all the time. Your father asked me out 3 times before I said yes. 3 times? Why? I was busy. I played hard to get, the usual, but he kept trying. Men did that then. What changed? I ask. She thinks for a moment. I think, and don't get mad, but I think men used to have a clearer picture of what was expected of them. They knew the script, even if it was a sexist script. I feel myself bristling. So you're saying feminism ruined dating? No, honey, I'm saying the script changed, which is good. It needed to change, but I don't know if anyone wrote a new one. And I think some people are just confused and gave up trying to figure it out. I don't want to hear this, but I also can't stop thinking about it. Monday morning, sitting in my office, I pull up Hinge on my phone, scroll through my requirements. Must be 5'10" or taller. I'm 5'6", it just feels right. Must make at least $80,000. I make $95,000, want someone on my level. Must be emotionally available and good at communication. Must be feminist, or at least feminist adjacent. Must want kids eventually. Must be ambitious and driven. Must be physically fit. I work out 4 times a week. Expect the same. Looking at this list, it feels reasonable. These are just standards, right? Wanting a partner who's my equal. So why does it feel like I'm searching for a unicorn? That night, another wine session with Rachel and our friend Melissa. Melissa is a high school teacher, has been with her boyfriend for 5 years. They're happy but not engaged, which she complains about. At least you have a boyfriend, Rachel says. The dating pool is a wasteland, I add. What are you guys seeing out there? Melissa asks. Rachel and I take turns describing the landscape. Men who won't commit, men who seem depressed and directionless, men who prioritize gaming and hobbies over relationships, men who don't even try anymore. I had a guy tell me last week that dating apps make him feel like a product on a shelf that no one wants to buy, I say. Well, maybe he should make himself more appealing, Rachel responds. Melissa makes a face. What? I ask. Do you listen to how you talk about men? What do you mean? Like, just now, that guy opened up about feeling dehumanized and unwanted, and Rachel's response was basically, try harder to be good enough. Rachel and I exchange glances. I mean, we all have to work on ourselves, I say defensively. Sure, but David games a lot, right? Like, a lot. David is Melissa's boyfriend. Yeah, usually a few hours every night. Does it bother you? Sometimes, but I've started asking him about it instead of judging him for it. And he told me it's one of the only places he feels competent and successful. Work stresses him out. He feels like he can never make enough money to afford the life we're supposed to want. He's worried about the future, worried he's not good enough for me. But when he plays Final Fantasy XIV, he's important. His guild needs him. He completes quests. He levels up. There's clear progress and achievement. Something about this makes my chest feel tight. That's kind of sad, Rachel says. It is, Melissa agrees. But I think a lot of men feel that way and we just don't notice or don't care. I can't sleep that night. Lying in bed, scrolling through articles on my phone. Male loneliness epidemic. Young men giving up on relationships. The rise of hikikomori culture in Western nations. Why are men less interested in dating than ever before? The comments sections are brutal. Men describing feeling invisible, feeling like they're never enough. One comment stops me cold. I'm 31, have a decent job, my own apartment, hobbies, friends. But I'm 5'7" and balding. I've been on 50+ first dates in 3 years. Never a second date. At some point, you realize the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I'm not angry at women. I'm just tired. My PlayStation doesn't reject me. 132 upvotes. I think about my height filter. I think about how I'd definitely swipe left on him. I feel something uncomfortable. Is it guilt? The next week, I decide to do an experiment. I remove my height requirement. I lower my income requirement to $50,000. I expand my age range. Within 2 hours, I have 15 new matches. I actually read their profiles instead of judging by photos. There's a guy named Everett, 5'8", elementary school teacher. We message back and forth. He's witty, kind, asks thoughtful questions. We agree to meet for coffee. The day of the date, I find myself actually nervous. He shows up on time, smiles, has good energy. We talk for 2 hours. He's genuinely interesting. And I hate myself for this. I don't feel attracted to him. He's slightly shorter than me in the heels I wore. He talks about his students with so much passion, but I find myself thinking, elementary school teacher won't sound impressive when I tell my friends. When he mentions his gaming hobby, he plays Civilization and strategy games to unwind, I feel myself mentally checking out. We part ways. He texts me later. I had a great time, would love to do this again. I stare at the message for an hour. Finally type. I had a nice time too, but I didn't feel a romantic connection. Wishing you all the best." His response comes quickly. "I understand. Thanks for being direct." I wonder how many times he's gotten that message. I wonder if he'll keep trying or if I just contributed to him giving up. Session with my therapist the next week. I've been seeing a therapist for 2 years for work stress. Today I want to talk about this. I'm starting to wonder if I'm part of the problem, I tell her. What problem? The reason men are withdrawing. The reason they're choosing video games over dating. The reason so many of them seem depressed and defeated. Tell me more about that. I explain everything. The patterns I'm seeing, the conversations I've had, my own contradictions. I say I want equality, but I want men to initiate. I want them to pursue me. I want emotional vulnerability, but whenever it was so open and earnest, I found it unappealing. I want financial independence, but I also want a partner who makes good money. I promote body positivity for women, but I have a height requirement for men. He nods. What do you think that means? I think it means I'm a hypocrite. Or it means you're human. You contain contradictions like everyone. The question is whether you're willing to examine them. I want to. I just don't know what to do with what I'm finding. What are you finding? I take a deep breath. I think maybe we asked men to change, to be more emotional, more vulnerable, to share housework and childcare, to see us as equals. And those are good things to ask for, but I don't think we really prepared for what it would look like. We wanted them to stop being traditionally masculine in ways that hurt us, but I think I still want them to be traditionally masculine in ways that benefit me. And the men who can't or won't perform that balancing act, I think they just opted out. And instead of asking why, we called them lazy or pathetic or said they were having a man-child epidemic. Another date, this time with Alex. He's 33, works in IT, 5'11", so he meets my original height requirement. Makes $75,000. Over dinner, I try something different. Instead of interviewing him, I actually try to connect. What do you do for fun? I ask. Honestly, I've been really into Elden Ring lately. Old me would have felt disappointed. New me tries something else. I've heard of that. What is it about it that you enjoy? His face lights up. It's going to sound stupid. Try me. It's hard, right? Really hard. But it's fair. If I die, it's because I made a mistake or wasn't prepared. And when I finally beat a boss I've been stuck on, I feel like I actually accomplished something. Like I overcame something through effort and skill. Do you feel like you don't get that in other parts of your life? He stops, fork halfway to his mouth. Wow, that's actually really perceptive. What do you mean? Work is just corporate bullshit where nothing I do feels meaningful. Dating is just constant rejection or weird games. The economy is fucked. I'll never afford a house. The planet is dying. But in Elden Ring, I can actually win. That sounds really lonely, I say, and I mean it. He looks at me with something like surprise. It is, but it feels safer than the alternative, which is trying to meet someone's impossible standards and failing. Again. We sit with that for a moment. What if the standards aren't impossible? I ask. What if they're just misaligned? What do you mean? I think a lot of women, myself included, we've been told we can have it all and we shouldn't settle. And those things are true. But I think maybe we've confused not settling with expecting perfection. And I think men can feel the weight of those expectations. Alex nods slowly. Can I be honest about something? Please. I almost canceled this date. I've been on probably 40 first dates in 2 years. They all go the same way. Polite conversation. I can tell I'm being evaluated. I never measure up. This is the first time someone has talked to me like I'm a person instead of a resume. I feel that tightness in my chest again. That night I make a list in my journal. Things I've said or thought about men recently. Why can't men just grow up? He's 35 and still plays video games? Red flag. If he doesn't make X amount, he's not ambitious enough. I need a man who has his shit together. Men are so fragile. Why are men so afraid of commitment? Then I make another list. Things I've heard men say. I feel like nothing I do is ever enough. I'm afraid of approaching women because I don't want to be creepy. I don't know what women want anymore. I can't afford to be the provider, but I'm judged if I'm not. I tried being vulnerable and she lost attraction to me. I'm lonely, but dating makes me feel worse. I stare at both lists. I think about how many conversations with Rachel and Melissa and other friends where we diagnosed what was wrong with men, how we never once asked if we might be contributing to the problem. The next week, coffee with James again. Can I ask you something else? I say. Sure. Last time we talked, you said dating made you feel like shit about yourself. Can you elaborate? He looks surprised I'm bringing this up again. Why do you want to know? Because I'm trying to understand. Really understand. He considers this. Okay, so I tried Hinge for about 6 months. I put effort into my profile, good photos, wrote thoughtful prompts. I'm not a bad-looking guy, I don't think, but I'm not tall, I'm not rich, I'm not super charismatic. Okay. I sent out maybe 50 to 60 likes with personalized messages, got maybe 5 matches, 3 never responded to my first message, 1 conversation died after 3 exchanges, 1 turned into a date. How did it go? She spent the whole time looking over my shoulder at her phone. When the check came, I offered to split it, and she looked annoyed. At the end, she said, "Thanks, this was fun," in a tone that clearly meant it wasn't. I never heard from her again. That sounds awful. It was. But the worst part? I went home and saw she posted on Instagram about suffering through another mediocre first date. She didn't even blur my face out of the background of 1 photo. Jesus Christ. After that, what's the point? I spent $40, 2 hours in a week of psyching myself up just to be someone's mediocre Thursday night story. Or I could spend that time playing Valorant with my friends where at least I'm wanted. I'm sorry that happened to you. He shrugs. It's not your fault, but you asked why men are choosing gaming over dating. That's why. Gaming doesn't humiliate you. Gaming doesn't make you feel like you're fundamentally inadequate. Gaming doesn't post photos mocking you to 2,000 followers. I go home and look at my own Instagram, scroll back through the last year, find at least 4 posts where I or my friends made fun of bad dates. One where Rachel screenshotted a guy's profile with, "He's 5'6", but claims he's fun-sized." 136 likes. Comments full of laughing emojis and women sharing their own short guy stories. I feel sick. That was someone. Someone who was trying. Someone who was probably already insecure about his height. And we turned him into content. Into a joke. I delete the posts. It feels like a tiny, inadequate gesture. Group chat with Rachel and Melissa. Me. Do you guys think we might be too harsh on men? Rachel, what do you mean? Me. Like our standards, the way we talk about them, our expectations. Rachel. We're allowed to have standards. Me. I know, but what if our standards are part of why men are giving up? Melissa. I've been thinking about this too. Rachel. Oh God, not you too. Me. Just hear me out. We want equality, right? True equality. Rachel. Obviously. Me. But we also want men to pay for dates, to be taller than us, to make more money, to pursue us, to be confident and ambitious and emotionally available, but not too emotional. Melissa. And when they can't be all those things, we mock them or reject them or call them low value. Rachel. So, what? We're supposed to lower our standards? Me. No. I think we're supposed to examine whether our standards are about equality or about wanting traditional benefits while claiming progressive values. Rachel, I don't like what you're implying. Me, I don't like it either, but I've been noticing things, patterns, and I think we've been so focused on men's bad behavior that we haven't looked at our own. Melissa, David told me something last week. He said he has 3 friends who've completely given up on dating. They work, they game, they hang out. They're not angry or hateful toward women. They're just done trying. Rachel, that's their choice. Melissa, is it or is it a rational response to constant rejection and impossible standards? The group chat goes quiet for a while. Then Rachel, I matched with a guy who's 5'8" yesterday. I didn't message him because of the height thing, but he had the most thoughtful profile I've seen in months. Message him. Rachel, what if I'm not attracted to him in person? What if you are? What if we've been filtering out good men based on metrics that don't actually matter? I make another change to my dating apps. I start reading profiles first, looking at photos second. I match with someone named Kevin. He's average height, average build, works as a librarian, makes maybe $40,000 a year. Old me would have never swiped right. But his profile is thoughtful, intelligent, kind. We message for a week before meeting. He's genuine, curious, asks about my work, tells me about his job helping people find resources, running reading programs for kids, mentions he plays Stardew Valley and Hades to decompress. What is it about those games? I ask, genuinely curious now. They're gentle, he says. The world is so harsh, Everything feels like a competition or a test. But in Stardew Valley, I just plant crops and talk to villagers and fish. It's peaceful. And in Hades, even when I die, I'm making progress. There's always another chance. Do you feel like you don't get second chances in real life? He looks at me carefully. Can I be honest? Please. I've been on a lot of first dates that went nowhere, and I know it's partly me. I'm not impressive on paper. I'm not tall. I'm not rich. I'm not particularly handsome. I'm just okay. And okay doesn't seem to be enough anymore. You seem more than okay to me. Really? Because I assumed this would go like all the others. That you'd be nice, we'd have a decent conversation, and then I'd get the no romantic connection text. The fact that I've sent that exact text multiple times isn't lost on me. What if I promise not to do that? What if I promise to actually give this a real chance? He smiles, and it's cautious, but hopeful. I'd like that. We start dating, not seriously at first, just seeing each other. Kevin is kind, thoughtful, emotionally available. He's everything I said I wanted, but I keep finding myself making excuses for why I'm dating him when talking to friends. He's really intelligent. He's so kind and emotionally mature. Never. He's a librarian who makes $40,000 and plays video games. Because I know how that would sound to Rachel. One night, about a month in, Kevin and I are at his apartment. He's playing some game. I'm reading on his couch. Wanna try? He asks. The game. Yeah, it's called Journey. It's short, beautiful. I think you'd like it. I've never played a video game in my life, but I sit down and take the controller. For the next 2 hours, I'm moving through this beautiful, wordless landscape. Occasionally, another player appears and we travel together briefly. It's meditative, moving, genuinely artistic. When it ends, I find myself emotional. That was beautiful, I tell him. That's why I game, he says softly. Not to escape relationships, but to escape the feeling that nothing I do matters. In games, things matter. Choices matter. I matter. You matter here too, I say. Do I? Or am I a project? A guy who's nice enough, good enough for now, until someone better comes along. His vulnerability catches me off guard. Why would you think that? Because I've been that guy before. The safe choice. The one who gets dumped when someone taller or richer or more exciting shows interest. I want to promise him that won't happen. But can I? Am I settling? Or am I finally seeing what actually matters? Therapy session. I think I'm dating someone, I tell my therapist. You don't sound sure. I am dating someone, Kevin. He's good. But he doesn't check the boxes I thought mattered, and I don't know if I'm being mature and realistic or if I'm settling. What boxes doesn't he check? Height, income, conventionally impressive career. And what does he have? Kindness, emotional availability, intelligence, stability. He treats me well. We have genuine conversations. He's thoughtful and present. So he has everything you said you wanted, just not the things you thought you wanted. I sit with that. I think I'm afraid of what it says about me that I'm struggling with this. What do you think it says? That I'm shallow. That for all my feminist values, I still want traditional markers of male success. That I want equality when it benefits me and tradition when it benefits me. Or maybe it means you're human. You were socialized in a particular culture with particular values. Recognizing that doesn't make you a hypocrite. The question is, what you do with that recognition. 3 months in with Kevin. Rachel finally meets him. We all have dinner together. Rachel and her new guy. Yes, she messaged the 5'8" guy. Yes, they're dating now. Afterward, Rachel texts me. He's really great. Me. But? Rachel. No, but. He's actually great. Present. Funny. Clearly adores you. Me. I know. Rachel. So what's the problem? Me. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For the feeling that I settled. Rachel. Have you considered that maybe our whole generation of women was fed a lie? Me. What lie? Rachel. That we could have it all. The high-earning, ambitious feminist man who's also traditionally masculine and pursues us, but also respects our equality and is emotionally available, but not weak, and is confident, but not arrogant, and wants to split everything equally except the things we want them to pay for. Me. When you put it that way, it sounds insane. Rachel. It is insane. We wanted men to change, and they did, or they tried to, or they gave up trying. And now we're mad that they're not performing masculinity the way we want, while also being progressive the way we want. Me. So what do we do? Rachel. I think we figure out what actually matters and let go of the rest. Me. What actually matters to you? Rachel. Someone who shows up, who's consistent, who treats me well. David is 5'8", makes less than me, and plays video games every night. He's also the most emotionally stable, present, caring partner I've ever had. Me. Are you happy? Rachel. Yeah. Are you? Me. I think so. I think I'm just fighting against the voice that says I should want more. Rachel. Whose voice is that? I don't have an answer. I start noticing things differently. At work, the male associates seem defeated in a way I never recognized before. They're quieter in meetings, less likely to speak up, more deferential. One day, one of them, Everett, different Everett, not the teacher, presents in a meeting. He's brilliant, his analysis is perfect, but he keeps prefacing everything with, I'm not sure if this is right, but... Afterward, I pull him aside. Your presentation was excellent. Why did you undermine yourself? He looks uncomfortable. Just being careful. Careful of what? Of seeming too confident, too assertive, of taking up too much space. Jesus. We want you to be confident, I say. Do you? Because the last time I was assertive in a meeting, I overheard someone say I was typical male energy dominating the conversation. I remember that meeting. I might have been the someone. I'm sorry, I say. It's fine. I've just learned to hedge, to make myself smaller, to be unsure even when I'm sure. This is the opposite of what we wanted. We wanted men to stop dominating, but did we actually want them to shrink? That night, I'm with Kevin. Can I ask you something? Always. Why did you keep trying? With dating, I mean. After all the rejection, why didn't you give up like so many guys seem to? He's quiet for a long time. Honestly, I almost did. About a year before I met you, I deleted all the apps. Decided to just focus on work and hobbies and friends. I was actually happier. What changed? My therapist asked me if I was giving up because I genuinely didn't want partnership or because I was protecting myself from rejection, and I realized it was the latter. So I gave it one more try, with different expectations. What expectations? That I'd probably get rejected, that most women wouldn't want what I offer, but that maybe, somewhere, there was someone who would, and that she'd be worth the 100 rejections it took to find her. I feel my eyes water. You think I'm worth that? I think you're worth more. I think you're worth the work I've had to do on myself, the therapy, the learning to be okay with rejection, all of it. I don't know if I've done that same work. What do you mean? I don't know if I've actually examined my own stuff, my own biases and contradictions and impossible expectations. I've spent so long focused on what men need to change, I haven't looked at what I need to change. Want to know what I think? Please. I think you're doing that work right now. The fact that you're here, with me, when I'm not what you thought you wanted, that's the work. 6 months in. I'm at another wine night with Rachel and Melissa. We're talking about the state of dating. I read an article today, Melissa says, about young men and the loneliness epidemic. Another one? Rachel asks. This one was different. It was actually empathetic. Talked about how many men are depressed, isolated, feel like failures, how video games and online communities are the only places they feel valued. That's sad, I say, and mean it in a way I wouldn't have a year ago. The comments were what got me, Melissa continues. So many men talking about feeling invisible, about being told their problems don't matter because they're privileged, about trying to be what women want and failing and giving up. Do you think we contributed to that? I ask. Both of them know what I mean. Rachel speaks first. Yeah, I think we did. Not intentionally, but yeah. I think we were so focused on our own hurt, our own struggles, that we couldn't see that men were struggling too, I add, just differently. And when they tried to talk about it, we told them to check their privilege, Melissa says. Or we mocked them, Rachel adds, called them fragile, man babies, told them to man up, which is literally toxic masculinity, but we did it anyway. I think about all the guys who opted out, I say, who chose gaming and loneliness over trying and failing again, and I wonder how many of them would have been great partners if they'd been given a real chance. Or if the game wasn't rigged against them from the start, Rachel says. Melissa refills our glasses. So what's the answer? Do we just lower our standards? No, I say. I think we examine which standards actually matter. Height doesn't matter. Income doesn't matter as much as we think. What matters is character, consistency, how they treat us. And we stop punishing them for not being traditionally masculine while also demanding they be feminist, Rachel adds. We accept that they're human, I say, as complicated and contradictory as we are, as hurt and scared and trying to figure it out. Month 8 with Kevin. We're serious now. I'm in love. Actually, in love. My mom meets him and afterward tells me, he's good. He's really good. Even though he's a librarian, I ask, especially because he's a librarian. He has a job that helps people. He's educated, kind, present. What else matters? I used to think a lot else mattered. And now I think I was chasing an impossible standard. The perfect feminist man who was also traditionally masculine, who made six figures but also didn't define himself by work, who pursued me but also respected my agency, who was confident but also vulnerable but also not too vulnerable. My mom laughs. Honey, that man doesn't exist. I know that now. She gets serious. Can I tell you something? Your generation of women, you've been sold a bill of goods. You were told you could have everything, which is true, but you were also told you should accept nothing less than perfection, which is false. What's the difference? Having everything means having love, purpose, partnership, respect. Having perfection means having some checklist of attributes that don't actually correlate to happiness. Your father wasn't perfect. He was short, balding by 30, made a teacher's salary. But he was good, and good is what matters. I write something in my journal, not for publishing, just for me, but I want to articulate it. Did we make men so depressed they'd rather game than date us? I think the answer is partially yes. Not because feminism is bad or women's equality is wrong, but because in fighting for our rights, some of us turned into what we were fighting against. We wanted men to stop objectifying us, so we objectified them. Height, income, status. We wanted men to stop judging our bodies, so we judged theirs. We wanted men to stop having impossible standards, so we created impossible standards. We wanted men to see us as complex humans, but we saw them as either threats or resources. We told them to be vulnerable, then lost attraction when they were like, "Go." We told them we wanted equality, then expected traditional courtship. We told them their masculinity was toxic, then complained they weren't masculine enough. And when they couldn't navigate these contradictions, when they gave up trying, we called them lazy. We called them man-children. We called them fragile. We turned them into content for our social media. We never asked, are we making this impossible? Are we contributing to their depression? Are we pushing them away and then blaming them for leaving? The answer isn't to go back to traditional gender roles. The answer isn't for women to lower standards or accept mistreatment. But the answer also isn't to maintain impossible standards while claiming moral superiority. The answer is empathy. The answer is recognizing that men are also struggling in a changing world. That they're also confused about what's expected of them. That they're also lonely and scared and doing their best. The answer is examining our own contradictions as rigorously as we examine theirs. The answer is building something new together instead of demanding they figure it out alone. I look at Kevin, sleeping beside me. He's not tall, he's not rich, he's not traditionally impressive. He plays video games most nights, and he's the best partner I've ever had, because I stopped looking for perfect and started looking for good. Because I examined my own bullshit. Because I recognized that men opting out wasn't always weakness or failure. Sometimes it was a rational response to an impossible situation. And the moment I made it possible, made it safe, made it human, I found someone who'd been trying all along, just waiting for someone to actually see him. Do I think feminism made men depressed? No. Do I think some of us, in the name of feminism, created environments where men felt attacked, inadequate, and hopeless? Yeah, probably. Do I think video games are the enemy? No, they're a symptom. When real life feels unwinnable, people retreat to places where winning is possible. The question isn't, why do men game instead of date? The question is, why have we made dating feel unwinnable? And the answer is complex. It's economic anxiety and social media and changing gender roles and unrealistic expectations on all sides. But it's also us. Women like me who claimed to want equality while maintaining traditional expectations, who demanded men change while refusing to examine our own behavior. who turned dating into a performance evaluation instead of a human connection, who made men feel like they were never enough and then wondered why they stopped trying. I'm not saying women are the problem. I'm saying we're part of a complex problem, and recognizing that is the first step towards solving it, toward building something better, toward meeting men where they are instead of where we think they should be, toward seeing them as human, as worthy, as enough. Kevin stirs, pulls me closer. "You okay?" he mumbles. "Yeah," I say. "I'm finally okay, and I mean it."